Welcome to your week in review here on WINN FM 98.9 for the period July 14th through 19th. Making the news last week, St. Kitts and Nevis advances water supply through groundwater development.
Dr. Keith Rowley emphasizes the strengthened preparedness to volcanoes and other natural disasters, highlighting Nevis's volcanic risk.
Building a resilient future for water in St. Kitts and Nevis, the St. Kitts and Nevis Transwater Project.
St. Kitts and Nevis ranks within the top 5 in the Caribbean in NCD mortality rates.
Nevis grapples with workforce shortages amidst economic growth and investment incentives. Further development is needed to fully explore new pathways between St. Kitts and Nevis and Nigeria. Minister Duggins on agricultural resilience and global market presence amidst hurricane season and shifting tariffs. Creative Arts Minister gives update on Creative Arts Centre.
Charter released in honor of fallen Four Seasons Nevis General Manager Billy Swato, memorialized in painting by Vaughan Anslin.
Now the details. The quest to meet the growing water demand in St. Kitts is progressing, with notable success through the development of new groundwater wells and adoption of modern technology. During the latest In Focus episode on July 16, 2025, water engineer Cromwell Williams and assistant water engineer Landreth Isaac provided essential insight into ongoing efforts to boost the island's water supply. Currently, the island faces a daily deficit of approximately 1 million gallons, with demand at around 6 million gallons per day. In comparison, the supply from wells and surface sources reaches only 5 million gallons.
Government must first spend its money on finding new sources, additional sources, and hence that is desalination, that is constructing desalination plants, and that is drilling additional wells. Once we have that additional water, of course we know we have to increase the storage, but it makes no sense to first build more storage when you have no water to put in the storage anyway.
A shining example of this well-focused strategy is the recently commissioned well at Keon. It has had a significant impact on local water availability.
That well, which is producing over 400,000 gallons per day, will guarantee that the people of Keon and the surrounding communities have 24/7 water supply. And that is what we're going to replicate around the island.
Expanding on storage solutions, Williams explained ongoing projects.
We are in the process of constructing a 1 million gallon storage tank. We're going to do it in two phases. We're going to do two tanks. One, the first 500,000 gallon, and then a little later we'll build another 500,000.
He clarified that the purpose of these tanks is to provide about 2 days storage, primarily to safeguard against supply interruptions, stressing that the natural underground aquifers already serve as primary storage. Innovation is driving the search for new wells, with the recent adoption of semi-airborne geophysical surveys using drone technology. Isaac detailed this approach.
It's a cost-effective, non-invasive method. Mr. Williams would tell me about the traditional methods before, where they had to drill blindly, basically, for some test wells. This was expensive, this would disrupt the land. And so this method of the airborne drone survey just uses a massive drone, as you could see there in the image, and it carries a sensor, and this interacts with some electrodes on the ground. And that interaction gives us a good picture, a subsurface picture of what is happening underground.
Preliminary results from surveys across Brighton, Diaby, Sadlers, and Challengers look promising. Williams added on the advantages of the technology.
It is cost effective. That's one of the thing about it. It is also time effective, because if we were to utilize the ground method, which we have used in the past, to cover such a vast area, would take us months. What using the drone technology, they were able to do in about 2 weeks. That would have taken about at least 6 months to a year.
As the department awaits the final survey report in the next couple of weeks, preparations to commence drilling are also underway.
We have already conducted the request for proposals, from a public request for proposals from drilling companies, and we have already selected the winning company, and they have already been granted or given their letter of acceptance. So they are just waiting now for the contract to be signed. The contract is being drafted by the government. It was sent to them recently, just last week. We are now waiting for them to get back to us, and then once we agree on the terms of the contract will be signed, hopefully in the next week or two. And then they've indicated that they will be on island within a month once the contract is signed.
Optimistically, the engineers project a sustainable safe yield of approximately 11 million gallons per day for St. Kitts, with the currently developed capacity of nearly 5 million gallons.
So we're hoping that this study and drilling process will unlock anywhere between 4 to 5 million gallons, I would say, at least.
And that would help to meet the demand.
Definitely. That would put us in a good stead for the next decade or so.
This focused and technological approach demonstrates the nation's commitment to securing a stable water future, striking a balance between development and the safeguarding of natural groundwater resources.
Former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, made a presentation at the 30th anniversary panel discussion of Montserrat's Soufriere Hills volcano eruption on ZJB Radio. Reflecting on his role as a scientist during the initial stages of the crisis, Rowley lauded the leadership of the then governor and the chief minister of Montserrat, praising their ability to interpret and act on scientific advice under pressure. He noted that their swift and thoughtful implementation of management measures played a significant role in safeguarding Montserrat's population during a period of intense uncertainty and danger.
And had the volcano erupted a few hours later, the outcome would have been hugely more disastrous. That is the kind of thing that goes on during eruptions. And Montserrat came very close to having a far worse outcome, even though we have an outcome that we can look at and say we made the best of what was available. And the people who took the decisions ought to be given some credit for allowing decision-making to be shared or to be fashioned by that relationship between the Prime Minister and the Governor. I don't know that that is common or that would be available in other eruptions.
However, Dr. Rowley explained that the Montserrat volcano experience offers vital lessons that other small island developing states, such as St. Kitts and Nevis, should heed, especially considering their vulnerabilities to natural disasters.
And I hope to mention a little bit about the lessons that should be learned that Montserrat would have taught to the region, which are not being learned. Because I can tell you right now, there are other potential disasters within this region for which we are hopelessly unprepared, because we believe that the volcanoes either would give us enough notice, or worse, it's not going to happen on my watch.
According to Rowley, the island of Nevis ranked number 1 of the top 3 islands for volcanic risk based on a 1970s study. Nevis Peak, a potentially active stratovolcano, stands 3,232 feet above sea level. While there is no immediate threat, authorities continue to monitor Nevis Peak as part of regional volcanic surveillance.
When we did the latest assessment in the 70s, there were 3 areas that we thought were 1, 2, 3 in the volcanoes that are likely to erupt, other than St. Vincent and Mount Pelée, which had erupted in the not too distant past. And we felt that on my list, number 1 was Nevis, number 2 was Montserrat, and number 3 was Dominica. And we worked with that understanding that these are the areas where we have to pay particular attention, because not only are the possibilities great because of what we understood from the science, but on those islands, especially Montserrat, where we had Plymouth, Dominica, where we had capital city Roseau, and in Nevis, where there's virtually no place to withdraw from the volcano. You're virtually living on the volcano. And Montserrat beat Nevis in the stakes. Montserrat erupted before, so we were close, but not entirely. accurate or guesstimated.
Dr. Rowley, who has maintained a deep interest in disaster preparedness and science-driven governance, underscored the value of continued investment in scientific research, public education, and regional cooperation by highlighting examples of volcano disasters in the region.
In 1902, on the French island of Martinique, a volcano, Mont Pelée, erupted after giving tremendous, what we now see as notice, but people didn't understand what was happening. So nobody did what had to be done, which was to get out of the way. And the volcano eventually erupted and killed thousands of people, wiped out the whole city of Saint-Pierre. Only 2 people survived in that city. I think there's 29,000 people were killed. That remained a world phenomenon here in Martinique. And later on, a few days later, the one in St. Vincent erupted and killed 2,000 people. Again, there was notice. But because we didn't understand the phenomenon, the notice was ignored because the danger was not sufficiently understood.
Rowley believes that the legacy of Montserrat's volcanic crisis and other similar occurrences should not only be remembered, but actively used to strengthen future disaster responses across the globe.
In the continuing quest to secure a reliable and sustainable water supply for the Federation, the Water Services Department has intensified efforts under the banner of the St. Kitts-Nevis Transwater Project. During the latest In Focus episode on July 16, 2025, Cromwell Williams, water engineer, and Landrith Isaac, assistant water engineer, shared critical insights into this transformative initiative aimed at modernizing the nation's water infrastructure and management. Cromwell Williams clarified some public misconceptions surrounding desalination technology.
It's no different really from what companies do in terms of preparing the bottled water. It's the same process. They're using reverse osmosis. So they're taking our water and they're running it through filters, through pressurized filters, reverse osmosis, and they take out whatever minerals are in the water. But of course, we believe that water naturally, as God gives us, should have some minerals in it, some of the calcium, the sodium, and so on. Those are naturally occurring in the environment. So, that's quite in order. And of course, you always have World Health Organization or US EPA provide guidelines as to what are the safe limits for those naturally occurring minerals. Right? So I just wanted to make the point that there should be absolutely no mistrust of desalinated water, because that is what you're buying in the bottle, actually. It's the same thing.
Isaac expounded on the project's broader goals, describing the SKN Transwater Project as
transitioning the water supply in St. Kitts and Nevis to a climate-resilient, low-carbon water sector.
He remarked on the collaboration with the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center 5Cs and the pursuit of funding from the Green Climate Fund, GCF, aiming for approximately US $40 to $42 million to propel this multi-stage development forward. Currently, the project is in the facility stage, focusing on
feasibility studies, social and economic assessments, and developing project indicators that will ensure a technically and financially strong project proposal,
with hopes of full approval by 2026. When asked about the modernization elements, Isaac highlighted infrastructure improvements, including upgraded storage tanks, transitioning piping materials from PVC to more durable HDPE, and adopting innovative technologies such as smart metering and SCADA systems that allow for remote monitoring and control.
A lot of the stuff that we do right now are very manual. And so we're just trying to see how we could modernize and improve our infrastructure in that regard.
Underscoring the necessity of integrating advanced technologies for greater operational efficiency. Cromwell Williams detailed the manifold benefits these technological advancements would bring, emphasizing enhanced resilience to climate change. He explained that desalination remains a cornerstone of the project, enabling the nation to mitigate the impacts of fluctuating rainfall.
I mean, regardless of in any particular year what rainfall we get, we would always have an almost unlimited supply of raw water in terms of the seawater. So that is building resilience. So the technology, yes, is important. We want to ensure that we maximize our use of technology, and that will, as you said, result in efficiency and reliability.
Highlighting the current system's reliance on manual pump operations and tank monitoring, Williams pointed out the risks of human error, often leading to avoidable water shortages. The transition to automated controls, he noted, would reduce personnel exposure to hazardous conditions, improve safety, and optimize resource management, allowing system operators to monitor tank levels and pump status remotely. The conversation also touched on the critical work of replacing aging water infrastructure. Williams noted challenges with the Southeast Peninsula Pipeline, which, despite being only over 30 years old, has experienced accelerated deterioration due to soil conditions, resulting in frequent breaks and costly road closures. He stressed the importance of replacing such pipelines to reduce maintenance burdens and public inconvenience, a step echoed as vital to the overall water supply resilience. Public engagement remains a key component of the Transwater project. Isaac detailed a series of consultations held in June.
We held public meetings every day that week. We started at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College, and then the team went to Nevis to address their challenges there. We also went to Sadler's, St. Paul's, and at the McKnight Community Center. Although there were relatively small turnouts physically, they were also aired live. So we did have some good turnout on the live areas. But most persons were just really concerned about, when will they see an improvement in water supply? And the same thing, like you just trying to get enlightened on what the Transwater project does. So while we touched on a lot of the physical aspects with regards to infrastructure improvements, the Transwater project also addresses water policy, and so the legal framework surrounding how we manage our water resource. It also touches on non-revenue water, NRW, what we call NRW. So it addresses the leaks, and how we plan to improve in that regard as well. And so the public meetings are also socially sensitive. So they wanted to touch on how gender and water is interacted and what we're doing to address the vulnerable in that regard. So yeah, it's a very all-inclusive project and process, and so we're very heavily involved in a lot of data gathering as well. So yeah, the public meetings are really just to have that public engagement in the process of the decision-making of the whole process.
Emphasizing the comprehensive nature of the project and its inclusive planning approach. Addressing a perennial challenge, the communication of water conservation, Williams acknowledged the difficulty in changing public behavior.
There has never been the type of emphasis on water usage. It's always been about water production, water supply. We're not producing enough water. We need more water. But the fact is that probably almost half of the water that the Water Services Department provides is going to waste.
He noted lax enforcement of revenue collection has contributed to overconsumption, with households sometimes using multiples of their expected water allotment, often due to leaks or faulty plumbing. Williams stressed that managing water sustainably requires
holding users accountable for the water that passes through their meter.
Highlighting a cultural shift away from tolerance of excessive use. Reflecting on the history of water rates, the conversation underscored the need for rate adjustments in light of inflation and infrastructure investment costs. Williams advised that combating leakage is a less costly strategy than building expensive new supply plants, advocating for greater vigilance in addressing water loss before expanding production capacity. Isaac reminded listeners of water's fundamental role, from the glass of drinking water to the crops and businesses it sustains, calling for collective responsibility.
Water is a common thread that sustains our lives and livelihoods, and as Mr. Williams expressed, we're really looking to the support of the people to play their part in safeguarding this natural resource.
Williams urged a holistic approach to water management, emphasizing environmental stewardship beyond infrastructure.
The farmers, the way in which you utilize fertilizers and pesticides is very critical because our water is on the ground. Even persons John Public, how you dispose of your waste is critical because our water source is on the ground.
The SKN Trans Water Project aims to deliver a modernized, climate-resilient water sector that ensures reliable, safe, and sustainable water access for generations to come. As the project moves through crucial feasibility and planning stages, its success depends not only on technological innovations and infrastructure investments, but also on fostering a culture of respect, conservation, and shared responsibility among all citizens.
The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, with its high diabetes, hypertension, and obesity trends, has been classed among the top 5 nations in the Americas in non-communicable diseases-related deaths, significantly contributing to the overall NCD burden in the Caribbean. Silvana Luciani, Unit Chief for Non-Communicable Diseases at the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, discussed the concern during a press conference on July 15.
And the Caribbean does have a much higher NCD burden as compared to the other subregions in the Americas. And in terms of St. Kitts and Nevis, I just looked at the ranking in terms of mortality rates, and it's quite high. It's in the top 5 rankings. And a lot of it has to do with the higher rates of obesity and diabetes and hypertension.
Luciani shared a chilling breakdown of NCDs in St. Kitts and Nevis. These rates suggest that cardiovascular health is a key challenge, underscoring the need for stronger preventative care and early intervention strategies within the health system.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, about a quarter of the population has obesity, about a fifth has diabetes, and about a quarter with hypertension. Again, really calling attention to the need to expand access to those primary care services and provide diagnosis, treatment, and control to prevent some of those deaths and prevent some of the early deaths in the population that is at high risk. But I would say also some of the policies, some of the prevention policies also need to be improved. And you raise the point about sugar-sweetened beverage taxes, and that has proven to be a very effective policy to reduce consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages.
An example of the NCD crisis in St. Kitts and Nevis was highlighted by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Curtis Martin, at a graduation ceremony on July 8, 2025, where he noted that the Federation sees about 1 person per day presenting with a stroke. Particularly, obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and other chronic conditions often go untreated in some people until they become severe. While some progress has been made, the high ranking of St. Kitts and Nevis in NCD mortality highlights the urgent need for continued and enhanced action. The government and local health officials continue to call for a coordinated approach involving healthcare providers, educators, policymakers, and community leaders to address the root causes of NCDs. Lifestyle-related risk factors contributing to the country's NCD crisis include unhealthy eating habits, limited physical activity, tobacco use, and excessive alcohol consumption, as well as diets high in salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats.
The Nevis Island Administration, NIA, recently concluded a series of community town hall meetings, a proactive approach to engage citizens and foster transparency in governance. These forums, which included a session on July 13, 2025 at the Red Cross Building in St. Paul's Parish, are designed to address public concerns and share updates on key government projects. Amidst discussions on national development, a pressing issue concerning the island's workforce was brought to the fore. During the July 13th town hall, the Honourable Spencer Brand, Minister of Labour in the NIA, painted a striking picture of the employment landscape on Nevis. While numerous job opportunities exist, a significant challenge lies in connecting available workers with these vacancies. Minister Brand revealed concerning statistics from a recent investigation.
107 businesses were looking for people to work. Keep that figure in mind. 220 persons were referred to those 107 businesses. Only 75 persons were employed. Now, as the Minister of Labour, that is scary and that is frightening.
He indicated that preliminary findings suggest a lack of seriousness among some individuals regarding employment. This sentiment highlights a significant disconnect despite the government's efforts to foster an environment conducive to job creation. Minister Brand urged the public to seize these opportunities.
Social security numbers keep trending in the right direction, where employment are available.
He further emphasized the competitive minimum wage in St. Kitts and Nevis, which he anticipates will be adjusted upwards soon, suggesting that
you can make a substantial living from gainful employment.
The Ministry of Labour's mission is to monitor and regulate employer-employee relationships, promoting industrial peace and ensuring job security. This observation echoes earlier statements made by the Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley, who highlighted a unique economic phenomenon on the island at a prior town hall event. The Premier cited independent data from the Social Security Board, which indicates that Nevis is in an interesting position. Premier Brantley questioned how these vacancies are being filled.
Nevis is in a unique position when we look at the statistics provided by Social Security. These are not government statistics because Social Security, as we know, is an independent body. And Social Security keeps telling Nevis that we have more jobs than workers. Let me say that again. Social Security keeps telling Nevis we have more jobs than workers. That is a rather interesting position to be in, because that gap between the number of jobs and the number of available workers sometimes is as high as 300 or 400. And so I have asked Social Security, well, how are these jobs being filled? And the answer that they've given is that they're being filled because some people are choosing to do 2 or 3 jobs.
Indeed, the Social Security Board reports indicate an upward trend in the average number of jobs and employed persons on Nevis in the post-pandemic era, a direct outcome of the government's incentive policies. Beyond addressing the workforce dilemma, Premier Brantley used the platform to advocate for further investment and construction on the island.
The truth is that there's no better time to build than right now on the island of Nevis. We have a full package of concessions that is on offer for those who are here wanting to build, for those who are overseas in our diaspora who want to build something here. We have duty-free concessions, we have VAT-free access, we have a number of concessions. In fact, that we have a return in national policy for those coming in, but we also have concessions for those who are here. In fact, the concession used to be only for first-time homeowners. We've changed that. We've now even extended concessions to you if you have a home already, but you're expanding your home. So there could be no excuse in terms of building. This is a good time for people to build. If you are thinking of building, you want some assistance, please go in and see the good people at the Ministry of Finance, and they will guide you through the process.
These policies are part of a broader strategy to foster economic growth and attract investment, with a dedicated unit under the Ministry of Finance serving as a one-stop shop for individuals wishing to return and invest. As the island moves forward, addressing the critical issue of workforce availability will be key to fully realizing its economic potential. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis has entered into a strategic partnership with Nigeria, marking a significant step towards diversifying its international relations and enhancing economic resilience. During a press conference on July 8, 2025, the Honourable Samuel Duggins, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, Marine Resources and Cooperatives, Small Businesses and Entrepreneurship, Sports and the Creative Economy, offered insights into the intricacies of this burgeoning relationship, emphasizing its multifaceted nature and the tangible progress already achieved. When pressed on the major focus area of this new relationship with Nigeria, Minister Duggins clarified that the initiative encompasses multiple dimensions.
I am trying to contextualize the question, but you asked what's the main focus area. But as you recognize, there are multiple focus areas. One focus area obviously is to do with trade, particularly agricultural trade as it relates to my ministries.
The focus on agricultural trade is a crucial component, especially given current global geopolitical challenges. Products will include staples such as rice, maize, and soybeans, as well as value-added goods like dairy products, baby food, and non-alcoholic beverages. The partnership extends beyond mere economic transactions to embrace cultural exchange and knowledge transfer. Minister Duggins highlighted the exchange of cultural groups, noting,
"They send cultural groups to learn from our cultural groups, but also to share with our cultural groups." And if you were there at the closing gala, there was a performance that happened where both cultural groups performed together, having elements of each other's cultural presentation in one performance.
This cultural dimension is seen as vital for showcasing similarities and fostering future collaboration between the countries. Furthermore, the MOU facilitates technical expertise transfer, allowing both nations to share valuable insights in agricultural practices, with St. Kitts and Nevis's advanced approach to climate resilience serving as a learning opportunity for Nigeria. The commitment to this partnership has already yielded real tangible outcomes. Minister Duggins recounted the swift progress.
So then let's look at the timeline. We signed the Memorandum of Understanding in March. 10 weeks after, we saw the first plane landing here.
The MOU was signed on March 20th, 2025 by the Honourable Samuel Duggins and witnessed by Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew following the Afro-Caribbean Investment Summit in Abuja. The foundational agreement paves the way for the establishment of a state-of-the-art agro-hub, warehouse and logistics centre in St. Kitts and Nevis, envisioned as a regional sales and distribution hub for Nigerian agricultural products. Moving forward, the focus will be on establishing regular transportation links.
Part of that is ensuring that we have regular transport between the islands. So now we are looking to establish regular flights, and we are also looking to establish sea trade, cargo moving back and forth. The development of that is also to ensure that we build in the infrastructure to facilitate such large cargo shipments, ports, storage. So that's another point. But at the fundamental base of it, it is we started in March. 10 weeks after that in March, we saw real tangible outcomes. Now we are moving from where we are to even further tangible outcomes. And these are the things that are developing.
As the minister said, deepening the ties between the Federation and Nigeria necessitates significant infrastructure development, including the expansion of port facilities and storage solutions to accommodate large cargo shipments. While the deep water port on the Bassier coast is the main cargo handling facility capable of accommodating large vessels, further development would be required to support the envisioned scale of trade. The nation of St. Kitts and Nevis is strategically reinforcing its agricultural sector to withstand the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season and navigate the complexities of global trade tariffs, particularly concerning its burgeoning Tabasco pepper industry. During a press conference on July 8, 2025, the Honourable Samuel Duggins, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, Marine Resources and Cooperatives, Small Business and Entrepreneurship, Sports and the Creative Economy, elucidated the government's comprehensive approach to food security and export sustainability. Minister Duggins outlined a meticulous strategy focused on reducing the nation's food import bill by identifying shortfalls in local production and systematically filling those gaps.
But what I could tell you about the hurricane season and our food security. So we look at food security very comprehensively. One, if you recognize, we spoke about the coconuts that we received. We spoke about the plantains and the bananas. We spoke about the pineapples. Now, these are not just random items that we just pull out of the sky. We have been looking at our food import bill, where we spend money, where we have spent money over the last decade, and where we have shortfalls in local production. And we have been filling those gaps. And so bananas and plantains and pineapples and coconuts, these are areas where a significant amount of money is our expense, but that money leaves the island.
The government's agricultural development strategy aims to reduce the country's food importation bill through local production, addressing the current reality where local demand often outpaces local supply. The ministry has also invested in training local butchers to enable the production of prime cuts of meat. In this area, hotels and restaurants previously relied heavily on imports despite the availability of domestic livestock. This initiative directly addresses gaps in processing and preparation, aiming to retain valuable funds within the local economy. In line with these efforts, the Layer Chicken Breeder Farm and Hatchery Facility in Bayford's Livestock Center of Excellence is now operational, significantly boosting poultry production and strengthening food security. This facility is expected to cut the import bill by nearly $20 million, moving the Twin Island state closer to its goal of 100% efficiency in egg production and overall food self-sufficiency. Beyond its internal efforts, St. Kitts and Nevis leverages its regional partnerships to enhance food security, especially in the face of natural disasters.
Now, beyond that, we don't operate in isolation. We operate as a part of a number of different organized bodies. One being the OECS, wider CARICOM, wider, you have CELAC. And then you have different organized bodies that are even hemispheric and global.
Minister Duggins emphasized the vital role of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, and the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, in providing mutual support during hurricane seasons.
Now, usually a hurricane, and hope I'm not talking out of turn, but hurricanes don't usually hit all islands at once. And so where there is issue in one island, the idea of the OECS is to come together to support that particular island.
The collaborative approach has been demonstrated in past instances, such as support for Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines following the impacts of hurricanes. The OECS, dedicated to transforming agriculture and promoting food security, fosters strategic partnerships to boost production and trade in select commodities. Despite drought challenges, significant investment in agriculture, including the distribution of drip irrigation systems, protective crop coverings, and high-quality seeds, are propelling St. Kitts and Nevis toward its food security goal. The government has also invested in infrastructure, including modern greenhouses for year-round cultivation and a new desalination plant to ensure water security. These efforts are crucial, as studies have shown that St. Kitts and Nevis, like other Caribbean nations, are vulnerable to economic shocks due to their high dependency on imported foods. A significant aspect of the nation's economic diversification strategy is the Tabasco Pepper Project, which has seen the government acquire 100 acres of land for cultivation. Regarding the potential impact of new U.S. tariffs on trade, Minister Duggins expressed confidence that the emerging Tabasco pepper industry would not be adversely affected.
Now, regarding the trade tariffs, what is the truth behind that? Those tariffs are applied across the board. And so what will happen is that it does not affect St. Kitts and Nevis. These are not tariffs placed on St. Kitts and Nevis. It does not affect the Caribbean. These are not tariffs placed on the Caribbean. It affects the world. And all it does is raise the price across the world.
He clarified that while tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China might lead to increased global prices for spices, they do not disproportionately target specific countries or regions.
Our plan has not changed because the tariff does not significantly affect us as individual countries. It affects the globe. Who should be more concerned is those in America, because what it does is raise the price for them. But as we export into, we are on the same bar that we are now, because everybody's bar will raise the same way. So all it does is just raise the bar for everybody. It doesn't affect any individual country or exporter. And that's the point I was making. So our plan remains the same.
The minister's perspective underscores the government's belief that a global increase in price due to tariffs would maintain the relative competitiveness of St. Kitts and Nevis's exports. The Tabasco Pepper Project is particularly promising due to a sure market for the produce, as the McClenny Company, owner of the Tabasco brand, has indicated a willingness to accept whatever St. Kitts can produce based on their size. Through strategic investments in local production, fostering regional cooperation, and initiating high-value export projects such as Tabasco pepper cultivation, St. Kitts and Nevis is on a path to enhancing food security while building a resilient, self-sufficient economy. Creatives in St. Kitts and Nevis continue to wait for the promised home, the Creative Arts Center, that will serve as the nexus for all things creative in the Federation. The much-anticipated Creative Arts Center is poised to transform the nation's creative landscape and boost its economy. The vision for the center, first presented in 2023, depicts a multi-storied edifice shaped like a wave nestled on the hillside of Connery Half Moon Hills. During a press conference on July 8, 2025, the Honorable Samuel Duggins, Minister of the Creative Economy, provided an update on the project's status. He revealed that the Creative Arts Center is funded through the Public Benefit Option (PBO) of the Citizenship by Investment (CBI) program. The PBO allows investors to contribute to national infrastructure and development projects with a minimum contribution of US $250,000 for a principal applicant. Minister Duggins shared that the project has moved into its final stages of securing a contractor.
So the Creative Arts Center is listed under the public benefit option of our Citizenship by Investment program. And so far, it has been one of those projects that have been performing well. In fact, I could tell you that the full design has been presented and approved. I could also tell you that a contractor is now being contracted, I would say, because the tender went out, and it went out around the world. They have visited a number of contractors and received information from a number of persons interested, and they are now contracting finally. The timeline that has been presented by the developers is to have a groundbreaking. And when I say groundbreaking, I do mean start of work, not ceremonial groundbreaking, but start of work, commencement of work by December of this year, early January. So that is the timeline as presented by the developer.
This suggests that construction is anticipated to begin in late 2025 or early 2026. The Creative Arts Center is envisioned to be more than just a building. It is considered a vital investment in the nation's people, culture, and future. Minister Duggins has long championed a dedicated space for the arts, acknowledging the historical challenges faced by entertainers in finding suitable venues. He expressed his desire for the center to provide a permanent home for creatives, a masterpiece they can look upon with pride for generations. The facility will offer studios, exhibition halls, and performance spaces for various artistic activities promoting local talent and sustainable development. The Creative Arts Center is poised to offer a robust platform for the youth to nurture and elevate themselves across various creative fields, fostering new opportunities, economic empowerment, and cultural pride for St. Kitts and Nevis.
A captivating turtle-themed painting served as the vibrant backdrop for an event on July 9, 2025, organized by the Nevis Turtle Group. The event served as a reminder of the ongoing work needed to protect endangered sea turtles, and also as a symbolic and heartfelt farewell to the fallen Four Seasons Nevis General Manager, Billy Swaito. The artwork, featuring a majestic sea turtle gliding through crystal clear Caribbean waters, was created by local Nevisian artist Vaughn Anslin, who drew inspiration from the initiative where a hawksbill turtle named Billy, after Billy Swaito, was released back into the wild on July 8, 2025. During an exclusive interview with WINN FM, Vaughn Anslin said a decorator hired by the Nevis Turtle Group reached out to him seeking a photo backdrop, particularly a painting. He intended to create a simple but sweet piece of artwork, but soon found out that it was not something ordinary. There was an extra special meaning behind it all.
I did my own little research and found out they had released a turtle, I think the day before, and they called the turtle Billy in remembrance of Billy, the general manager that died. That then totally shifted my focus and the meaning behind the painting, because then it had a little more personal sentiment.
Anslin reflected on the life and times of Billy Swaito, who led Four Seasons Nevis with distinction. He recalled Billy Swaito's kind-heartedness, vibrant personality, and his spontaneity.
I've done work with Billy before. I think he's one of the most kindest and most, I don't know how to call it, more personal people I've ever met. He's very passionate about what he does and how he talks to people and how he interacts with people. He comes across very genuine, and it's very hard to find people in this world that has that much power and influence on the job as a general manager, but yet be such a people personality that just gravitates to everybody. And he will sit down with general managers and stewarding and the garbage people, and they're all the same to him. And it was so much that he said he came here for a job, but he fell in love with Nevis, and he had a flag tattooed on his arm, the Nevis flag, yes, on his arm, as a token of his appreciation for being here. So you must understand the weight of this that came down on me, because then I wanted to do it so it looked really personal, really good, and very vibrant because of the kind of person he was. And also something that was memorable, and that's what I came up with, and with the name Billy on the turtle.
The artist expressed that as Billy Swaito transitions to new ventures, his legacy in Nevis will live on through the symbolic journey of the turtle released in his honor.
It's funny how the wording goes, because when the turtle people said that they released the turtle back into the wild, it kind of reflected on how he was. He is now free to do and go and be whatever. I remember one time when he was at the Four Seasons, he literally ran across the pier and jumped over into the water. As a general manager, that is unheard of, but that is the kind of guy he was. He was very spontaneous and full of life, and he will be surely missed. Surely missed.
Attendees to the event posed for photos in front of the artwork, which stood as a powerful emblem of Nevis's environmental consciousness and memory of the great Billy Sueto. Anslin said that the painting did not remain on display as a permanent piece, as it was only for a backdrop. However, anybody who wishes to purchase it can contact Vaughn Anslin at 1-869-665-8727. The artwork, with its rich blues, greens, and intricate details of coral reefs and marine flora, not only captured the beauty of the sea turtle, engraved with the name Billy, but also told a story of harmony between nature, the people of Nevis, and Billy Sueto. For almost 20 years, the Florida-based Sea Turtle Conservancy, in partnership with the Four Seasons Resort Nevis and the Nevis Turtle Group, has been on a mission studying the population of sea turtles in Nevis and tracking their movements and patterns. The experts seek out nesting turtles, then tag them with a tracking device before releasing them back into the ocean. These sea creatures travel thousands of miles before returning to their original nesting places.
You are listening to the Week in Review here on WINN FM 98.9. Thank you for listening and have a productive week.